Hey everybody, welcome or welcome back. Today I thought we would do something a little bit different, and I thought we would look at the Conjuring House. Now I want to properly in-depth look at the Conjuring House, but not from a it's haunted perspective. I want to look at it from a psychological perspective and actually look at the people living in the home as opposed to the house itself. Now, I'm probably going to be stepping on some toes in this one because I'm not only looking at mental health, I'm looking at parenting, and I am looking at the effect of mental health on children. I have experience in all of these areas within my life, so I feel like I have a basis. Hello. Ow. Hello. Hi. Okay, bye-bye. Oh, no, you stay. Are you staying? You can't stay like that. I do feel like I have a good basis to talk about these things because I have experience in all of those areas, but I am not a doctor, I am not a professional, I'm not diagnosing anybody, I am just merely speculating. This is all speculation, it's all thought theory. I would also absolutely love feedback for these types of videos. I don't know how much b-roll I don't know anything at the moment. I don't know how much b-roll I'm putting in, I don't know whether it's just gonna be my face, I don't know. But with whatever the final product ends up being, I would absolutely love your feedback on it. And if you have any ideas of other video topics we could cover, please let me know. You can DM me or email me. Everything is in the description box below, along with any and all research links. It's probably going to be a long one for this one, so I apologise for that. But with that, let's grab your drink and let's get into the video. The Conjuring House, built in the 18th century, has seen its fair share of owners over the years, all while maintaining its dark and infamous reputation. It even inspired a movie franchise in 2013. But today, we're not focusing on the house itself. We're diving into the drama surrounding its many owners, because sometimes what haunts a place isn't the spirits at all, but the people who live there. While we're not going to touch on every reported event that allegedly happened in this home, we are going to be touching on the more noteworthy events. For a more in-depth analysis, check out Kenny Biddle's blog or the podcasts and video essays of Florio's Phantom Files and the Truth or Demons podcast, all of which can be found linked in the description box below. The land has passed through many hands over the centuries. Hey, so editing me, jumping in quickly. I had this nice cute little infographic of like the timeline of the owners, and it looks like it's not correct. So I'm holding my hands up. I really don't know. Prior to the Perrons moving in, I really have no idea who lived in this house. So I'm going to put up what Norma said, and I'm going to go with what Norma said because she's the lady on the ground. She is the one that has spoken to the historians and has access to the local records. So I'm going to go with what Norma said. I don't trust a thing on the internet about the Conjuring House, to be honest. There's so many lies out there. It's so hard to figure out what's true and what's not. So yeah, I'm just completely overriding this section. So I apologise. Thank you, I hope you understand, and I will let you get back to the video now. Bye! Construction on the house began in the 1680s, but it wasn't completed until 1736 by Noah Arnold Jr. For generations, it stood as just another quiet farmhouse in Harrisville, until 1971, when the Perron family arrived, and the house's dark reputation truly began to take shape. Carolyn Perron has often been portrayed as a loving mother caught in the midst of a terrifying haunting. In many retellings of the Conjuring story, she is seen as a victim, a mother desperate to protect her family from forces beyond their control. Her claims of paranormal activity, from hearing footsteps to seeing full-bodied apparitions, were taken seriously by many, and her emotional distress appeared to grow as the phenomena escalated. However, beneath the surface of these reported experiences lies a more complex portrait of a woman who, at times, seemed to struggle with her own emotional and mental well-being. When the Perron family moved into the now infamous farmhouse in 1971, they brought with them more than just furniture and personal belongings. Beneath the ghost stories that would later dominate headlines, there may have been something far more human at play. A chaotic household, strained relationships, and children navigating emotional instability the only way they knew how, by creating a story where the chaos wasn't their mother, but the house. Carolyn Perron exhibited several behaviours that may have deeply impacted her children, whether or not any supernatural events actually occurred. Carolyn made a down payment of $500, which is $4,000 in today's money, on the Conjuring House without consulting her husband, reportedly the last of the family's money. Despite their ongoing financial struggles, the family then had just 5 months to come up with the remaining $75,000, which would have added significant pressure to the family. This impulsive decision-making likely created tension between Carolyn and Roger, while also contributing to an atmosphere of uncertainty for the children. Major life changes made without discussion can often leave children feeling confused and anxious, even if they don't fully understand the source of their distress. Carolyn also experienced frequent fainting spells and dramatic attacks, particularly when her husband was present. These incidents may have been stress responses, or possibly a way of seeking attention or control in a chaotic environment. To children, seeing a parent collapse or panic repeatedly can be confusing, frightening, and destabilizing. Some may mimic the behavior, while others may retreat inward, feeling they must walk on eggshells. Meanwhile, Roger Perron was often away working, and, when home, seemed to prioritize keeping the peace above all else. His tendency to avoid conflict may have left the children feeling emotionally unsupported or unsure of where to turn when things became overwhelming. A parent's absence, whether physical or emotional, can amplify a child's stress, especially when the other caregiver is unpredictable. It's also possible that the children saw Roger as the rational parent, which might have made them more secretive about their experiences, or more likely to fabricate stories as a way to emotionally connect with him. Interestingly, very little, if any, paranormal activity occurred when Roger was around, which may have further solidified his role as the skeptical, grounded figure in the household, making the children's claims seem less believable or more exaggerated in an attempt to gain attention. Carolyn also claimed to feel supernatural presences even before the family moved in, something that suggests a preoccupation with the paranormal or a tendency towards magical thinking. In a household with 5 children and limited attention to go around, it's possible the children picked up on this and leaned into the ghost stories themselves, either as a way to make sense of their environment or to vie for attention. Many of Carolyn's so-called encounters align closely with the symptoms of sleep paralysis or waking dreams. In one instance, she claimed her dresser suddenly erupted in flames while she lay frozen, unable to move as sparks flew into the air. But when it was over, there wasn't a single scorch mark to suggest that anything had happened. In another, she said she awoke sensing a presence and saw the grotesque figure of a woman floating above her. Again, she couldn't move, just watched in terror as the figure drifted closer before vanishing without a trace. Eventually, the children began reporting similar encounters, which raises the question, were these truly paranormal events, or were the children simply echoing their mother's vivid, unverified claims in the hopes of gaining her often limited and unpredictable attention? Carolyn was described as emotionally sensitive and easily overwhelmed. Combined with the demands of raising 5 children, this may have led to inconsistent emotional availability. In environments like this, children often suppress their own needs to avoid upsetting the parent, which can lead to anxiety, caretaker behaviour, or even fabricating events to reclaim attention. All 5 Perron children claim to have their own experiences in the house. Interestingly, most of those encounters seem to have happened when they were either alone or entirely within their own minds. Andrea, the eldest, has remained the most vocal about her experiences and continues to profit from them to this day. Over the years, her stories have evolved, changing with each retelling. She often speaks of bonding between dimensions and claims her sisters grew up emotionally attached to the spirits. Andrea also described hearing voices and seeing shadows, though these encounters were never verified by anyone else. Nancy, the second oldest, once claimed the first official sighting, though, according to Andrea, it seemed more like a competition than a haunting. A friend later accused Nancy of faking activity in front of her. Nancy also reported seeing an apparitional family while lost near the home and experimented with a Ouija board, believing spirits were talking through it. Christine was described by Andrea as having supernatural skills and a strong sixth sense, though the specifics on that were vague. Her encounters were inconsistent, often going months without anything at all, only to be rudely awakened by a presence when it did. Cindy, according to Andrea, attracted more supernatural activity than her siblings, including vivid apparitions, telepathic messages, and even experiencing what she described as entering another realm. At one point, she claimed her bed vibrated and even levitated while she screamed, yet no one downstairs heard a thing. April, the youngest, had an imaginary friend named Oliver, with whom she supposedly communicated telepathically. I would like to point out that having an imaginary friend is a normal childhood experience. As the youngest child, she already received plenty of attention, but according to Andrea, her older sisters would often beg their mother for the same kind of focus April got without trying. This detail, coming directly from Andrea herself, adds weight to the idea that some of the girls may have leaned into the paranormal narrative to compete for attention. Even if no paranormal activity ever occurred, the environment within the Perron's household could explain why the children reported such intense experiences. Dramatic outbursts, financial stress, inconsistent and absent parenting, and emotional volatility can all feel traumatic to a child, and trauma has a way of warping memory, shaping belief, and creating stories that help make sense of the chaos. It's impossible to talk about the history of the Conjuring House without eventually bringing up the Warrens. They arrived just before Halloween, uninvited, as was their usual style, despite later claims that Carolyn Perron had called them for help. And again, as per their usual style, the somewhat benign haunted house became a demonic infestation practically overnight. The Warrens visited the Perron home a handful of times before things escalated. After a seance gone wrong, Roger Perron had finally had enough and banned them from the house for good. It didn't take long for Carolyn to latch onto the story of Bathsheba Sherman, a name that would become synonymous with the haunting of the Perron house. Bathsheba, who had long been dead, had lived in the area long before the Perrons moved in, and Carolyn turned her into the villain of the story. The problem was the villain Carolyn described didn't exist. There was no evidence to suggest that Bathsheba had ever cursed the land or committed any horrific acts. In fact, Bathsheba had been a well-respected woman who received a Christian burial, far from the dark demonic figure Carolyn painted. Bathsheba was too convenient to dismiss. She'd been searching for an answer, something to explain the strange noises, the occasional odd sensation, and perhaps, more importantly, to explain the attention her family was receiving. Carolyn didn't seem to be afraid so much as eager to find a narrative that would bring the Warrens into her life and, by extension, give her family a sense of validation. When the Warrens arrived, they were quick to seize upon Carolyn's invented tale, and soon Bathsheba went from being an innocent local figure to the supposed demonic presence that was terrorizing the family. It was a neat fit for the Warrens' brand of sensationalism, and just the sort of thing they thrive on. But the problem with creating a story like this is that it needs more fuel to keep it burning. So Carolyn did what any storyteller would do. She embellished. Bathsheba's ghost, once just a vague threat, became the focal point of all the haunting's supposed activity. Carolyn even went so far as to claim that the previous owners, the Arnolds, had committed self-unaliving in the barn. No such thing had happened, but it served the story and fit with the lore she was creating. She had a narrative now, one that just wasn't about her family's experience, but about something bigger, something sinister. The infamous seance was the climax of this fabricated drama. What was meant to be a simple ritual became a spectacle complete with a dramatic show of possession. Carolyn wasn't scared during the seance, she was playing the part, building on the role she had already stepped into. Her chair allegedly flew across the room, and she began mumbling in a way that seemed to fit perfectly with the story of demonic forces controlling her. The Warrens, ever eager to support their narrative, were more than happy to turn the moment into something otherworldly. But Roger Perron wasn't buying it. He saw the spectacle for what it was. A show, a performance, and he was done, furious at what he saw as their exploitation of his family. The infamous seance marked the breaking point in the Perron's family's relationship with the Warrens. What was meant to be a simple ritual quickly escalated into chaos. Carolyn, allegedly possessed, became the centre of attention as her chair was reportedly thrown across the room, and she herself was said to have been thrown backwards, landing hard on the floor. While the dramatic display had all the makings of a supernatural event, in reality it was likely more mundane. Carolyn, known for her over-the-top behaviour, probably just fell dramatically, as she had done before. However, the real mystery lay elsewhere. During the seance, the ghost hunting equipment set up for the investigation was destroyed, but it wasn't the result of any paranormal force. It was the children. Andrea and Cindy, who had secretly positioned themselves upstairs, peered through a crack in the door, watching the scene unfold below. With the focus entirely on Carolyn's performance, no one noticed what the children were up to. The house had 4 staircases, 2 leading to the ground floor and 2 leading to the basement, giving the children plenty of chances to sneak around undetected. It's likely that, amidst the chaos, Andrea and Cindy took advantage of the distraction to make their way to the basement, where the equipment was found broken and scattered. No one spoke up about it, and in the confusion, the children got away with their mischief. In the end, the only thing haunting the Perron house that night was the children's own prank. Carolyn's dramatic fall, however, was the tipping point for Roger. Fed up with the circus-like spectacle, he rushed to her side as soon as she hit the floor. Seeing what was happening, he immediately ended the seance, his patience finally worn thin. His anger flared, and he made it clear to the Warrens that this performance was over. When Ed Warren stepped forward, likely to try and intervene, Roger's fury boiled over. He spun around and punched Ed squarely in the face. Roger made one thing crystal clear. He wanted the Warrens and their entourage out of his home. The group, already on the edge after the chaotic seance, was quickly shown the door. Carolyn had set the stage, and the Warrens had played their part, but it was all built on a house of lies. Lies about Bathsheba, lies about the Arnolds, and lies about the supernatural. For Carolyn, it was the perfect story, a way to gain attention, a way to feel significant, and a way to weave her family's experience into the larger narrative of paranormal legend. Though Carolyn had started weaving her tale after the Warrens became involved, things quickly spiraled out of her control. The Warrens, always eager to expand their own fame, took possession of Carolyn's notebook, which contained the supposed haunted documentation she had carefully compiled. The notebook, along with its contents, mysteriously disappeared and was never seen again. As if that wasn't enough, the Warrens went on to host public talks, sharing the Perron family's case without the respect of confidentiality they had promised. Carolyn's personal story, one she'd hoped would elevate her, was turned into nothing more than another spectacle for the Warrens to profit from. The Perrons sold the house in 1980 to the Swartz family. Not much is known about them, but they lived there peacefully until 1987, when they sold the property to Norma Sutcliffe and Gerald Helfrich. Norma and Gerald owned the home for 32 years. Across both families, the house remained free from paranormal activity for a total of 39 years. But while the paranormal claims stayed quiet, the peace didn't. Everything changed with the release of The Conjuring in 2013. Not only did the film studio fail to contact Norma for permission or input, Andrea Perron actively hid her involvement during production. After the film's release, Andrea published numerous false claims attributed to Norma and Gerald. Eventually, Norma released a public statement, still available on YouTube, setting the record straight. We'll be covering that statement in another video. After the movie's success, the farmhouse became a hotspot for thrill seekers and paranormal fans. People travelled across the country, many of them trespassing, harassing Norma and Gerald and disrupting their lives. Despite help from neighbours and local police, the attention became overwhelming, with their health declining and their privacy shattered. Norma and Gerald ultimately made the difficult decision to sell their home. In 2019, the home officially became the Conjuring House, after it was sold to paranormal investigator couple Cory and Jen Heinzen. They wasted no time opening its doors to ghost hunters, content creators, and paranormal thrill seekers. For a fee, of course. After 39 quiet years, the rumours started flying again, and people jumped at the chance to experience the real Conjuring House for themselves. Things ran smoothly for about 3 years, but eventually the stress of managing the business while juggling their other property became too much, and they put the house up for sale. Jacqueline Nuñez is a highly accomplished individual whose career reflects a determination and ambitious nature. From being a former college volleyball player to earning her bachelor's degree from Northwestern University and later a master's at the University of Rhode Island, Jacqueline's early years demonstrated a commitment to personal growth and achievement. She further honed her leadership skills by coaching volleyball while pursuing her graduate studies. This drive led her to initially pursue a law degree at Northeastern University, although her career took a different path when she chose to pursue real estate and later opened her own real estate development company, Wonder Group LLC, in 2005. Although it's worth noting that Wonder Group is not accredited by the Better Business Bureau. In 2022, Jacqueline took another bold step by purchasing the notorious Conjuring House, a decision she described as a spiritual calling. Her background as an entrepreneur, combined with her long-standing interest in the paranormal, seemed to set the stage for what many might have seen as an unusual yet natural next chapter. However, it soon became apparent that Jacqueline's behaviours, which had been present before purchasing the Conjuring House, had now been amplified by her new platform, ultimately leading to a series of controversial actions. Jacqueline Nuñez's behaviour since acquiring the Conjuring House in 2022 has raised concerns about a growing sense of entitlement, aggression, and a disruptive leadership style. While these traits may have become problematic in her current role, they may have originally served her well in her career as an entrepreneur and in real estate development. These behaviours, if properly directed, could have contributed to her success, particularly in navigating high-stakes deals or asserting authority in competitive environments. Below are some of the ways these traits could have helped her advance her career. First, we'll look at one of Jacqueline's most visible traits, her tendency towards aggression and hostility. Jacqueline has repeatedly shown aggression towards anyone who questions her authority, including members of the paranormal community, critics, and even potential partners. She tends to escalate conflicts rather than resolve them. How could this have helped her build her career? In the competitive world of real estate development, assertiveness and aggressiveness can be valuable assets if used strategically. Jacqueline's strong personality could have worked in her favour when it came into negotiating high-stakes deals or pushing forward challenging projects. Many successful entrepreneurs use aggression as a tool to set boundaries, command respect, and assert their vision. Had she channeled her hostility into business deals, Jacqueline might have carved out a niche for herself, standing her ground against competitors and asserting dominance in what is often a male-dominated industry. Unfortunately, her current hostile behaviour has led to public outbursts, damaging her reputation and turning potential allies into adversaries. Next up is her relentless drive to control the story of the Conjuring House, reshaping every detail to fit her vision. Jacqueline is known for attempting to control the public perception of the Conjuring House, often silencing or rejecting critical viewpoints and attempting to reframe the narrative to fit her beliefs, even at the expense of others. How could this have helped her build her career? In business, particularly in branding and marketing, the ability to control the narrative is essential for success. Jacqueline could have leveraged this skill to build a strong personal brand, create public intrigue, and define her vision for any venture she managed. Real estate developers and entrepreneurs often use storytelling to craft compelling narratives around their properties or businesses, and Jacqueline could have positioned herself as a visionary who wasn't afraid to challenge public opinion. This trait could have contributed to building a loyal following or help differentiate her business in a crowded market. However, her refusal to entertain differing viewpoints has led to an isolated, almost paranoid leadership style that hinders real growth or positive engagement. And finally, we'll examine how Jacqueline leverages a high-profile public persona, often through social media, to command attention and shape perceptions. Jacqueline frequently places herself in the spotlight through social media posts and public appearances, often sharing controversial opinions and making emotional statements. How could this have helped her build her career? Visibility is a crucial factor in business growth, and Jacqueline could have used her online presence to promote herself as an influential voice in her field. Social media is an incredibly powerful tool for building a personal brand, and by staying in the forefront of public conversations, whether through interviews, articles, or direct engagement, she could have amplified her business reach. If Jacqueline had used her boldness and willingness to engage with her audience in a more constructive way, she could have cultivated a following, gained attention, and positioned herself as a leader in both the real estate and paranormal spaces. Unfortunately, rather than embracing a positive narrative, her controversial online presence is alienating potential clients and undermining her business. However, not all of Jacqueline's actions can be chalked up to big city behaviour clashing with small town life. Since purchasing the Conjuring House, her conduct has raised increasing concern amongst the public, collaborators, and former staff. Rather than something new, her behaviour appears to reflect long-standing personal patterns, amplified by the autonomy and authority that has now come with owning such a high-profile property. According to police records, Jacqueline was arrested on charges of DUI and reckless driving following an alleged police pursuit on October 28, 2024. Records indicate she refused a chemical test, tore up documents handed to her, and reportedly told the officer, "You're boring me." Public records also indicate she failed to appear for a scheduled court hearing. Around this time, Jacqueline made a series of public accusations against the paranormal investigator Jason Hawes, claiming he was stalking her and attempting to harm her. Hawes publicly denied these allegations. Multiple sources state that he filed a police report and obtained a no-contact order. Despite this, Jacqueline reportedly continued attempting to make contact, although the details on these attempts remain unclear. Former staff members have also come forward with concerning reports. Allegations include withheld wages and customer refunds, mass resignations, and unprofessional management practices. In one particular strange incident, a member of staff claims they were fired after Jacqueline allegedly said the ghost of John Arnold told her the employee had stolen something. Public interactions at the house have also been described as tense and unpredictable. Some event attendees have reported uncomfortable confrontations, including one guest who said they were removed from the property without explanation or refund. Online, Jacqueline's responses to criticism, especially on the Conjuring House's Facebook page, have been called erratic, inflammatory, and emotionally volatile. Her efforts to control the narrative around the house have further alienated several investigators and content creators. This controlling tendency, previously seen as a branding strength, escalated into a pattern of pressure and censorship. Multiple content creators say that they were made to sign a waiver, part of which allegedly states that content creators need their content reviewed prior to posting. This is presumably to align with Jacqueline's personal narrative or risk losing their right to publish their work. Financial decisions have also drawn criticism as well. Under Cory and Jen Heinzen's ownership, weekday investigations cost $250 and weekends were priced at $750 for groups of 6 or more. After Jacqueline took over, prices reportedly jumped to between $960 and $1,280 per night, depending on group size and day, often with an added fee for content creators. Another early red flag came during the sale of the property itself. According to a video by Cory and Jen Heinzen, they initially tried to back out of selling the Conjuring House to Jacqueline, but she responded with legal pressure. The Heinzens, who had signed a non-legally binding document, claimed Jacqueline threatened to take them to court, essentially blocking them for accepting other offers. Unable to afford a legal battle, they felt forced to complete the sale. For someone who described her purchase as a spiritual calling, the move raised eyebrows, suggesting a pattern of coercive tactics that would continue to play out after she took ownership. In one attempt to renew her business license, Jacqueline submitted a 7-page essay titled The Laws of the Cosmos Part 1 by Jacqueline Marie Nunez, the person who has saved all of humanity. According to individuals familiar with the filing, she addressed the essay as Dear fucking United States. She also described the Conjuring House as a spiritual battleground, and has publicly claimed that she was chosen to protect it. Unsurprisingly, there have been reports, including from Jacqueline herself, that she has been involuntarily hospitalised on at least 2 occasions. The exact reason for these hospitalisations remained private, but during these periods, there was a notable increase in the spiritual and emotionally intense content she shared on her social media accounts. Taken together, these incidents suggest a notable shift in Jacqueline's behaviour, though not necessarily one caused by the house itself. Instead, it appears to reflect their increasing immersion in spiritual beliefs and practices that she has said existed long before her ownership of the Conjuring House, have now taken a more prominent and public role in her life. From the Perron's fraught family dynamics to the Warrens' sensational spectacle, from decades of quiet under the Schwartz and Sutcliffe-Helfrich families, to the Heinzens' brief experiment as paranormal entrepreneurs, and finally to Jacqueline Nuñez's deeply personal crusade. The Conjuring House has seen it all. The story of the Conjuring House reminds us that sometimes the forces at play are not solely supernatural, whether driven by personal agendas or possibly even mental health struggles. Jacqueline Nuñez's actions have once again turned this historic farmhouse into a stage for human drama. From impulsive decisions and public accusations to erratic behaviour and spiritual missions, the true hauntings here may lie in the very real complexities of the mind and the motivations that drive us all. As the house continues to draw attention, the line between legend and reality will only grow more blurred. It leaves us to wonder, which is more terrifying, the ghosts that might roam its halls, or the human stories that have come to define it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into the psychology behind the legends, be sure to like, subscribe and let me know in the comments which only you think left the deepest mark on the Conjuring House. Okay, I can't end on such a serious tone. I really tried to end the video. I really did. I really did. Let me know what you thought. As I said, we were trying something a bit different. I don't know whether I was too far back the entire time. I'm quite small. I don't know. I might... Yeah, being here probably would have been better. Oh well. I'll look at it in editing or something. Whatever. But yeah, let me know what you thought. And if you have any other videos or homes you want me to look at, anything like that, I'd love to. I have a paranormal video every single Wednesday. So if you're my Wednesday group, then thank you so much. And I also do Sims videos on a Saturday. Now that Norma Sutcliffe video I referenced in the video will be a Saturday video. I am building the Conjuring House and that will be the voiceover for that. So if you're not normally one of my Saturday peoples, you might want to check that one out. Yeah, live streams seem to be a bit erratic at the moment. I don't know whether I'm going to be changing up my live stream schedule because I originally had it Wednesday, Saturday because I wasn't uploading on those days and now I am. And yeah, that live streams might be changing. I'm not entirely sure. But videos, Wednesdays, Saturdays, if you're in both groups, that's great. If you're just in one group, that's also great. I love having you here just generally, but I think I've rambled. I'm rambling now. I don't need to do the ramble. So, okay, I can't end on such a serious tone. I really tried to end the video. I really did. I really did. See you next time. Bye.